Good morning. We're back at it. Saturday morning, we made it to the weekend. Let's go. My dog has been up since like midnight trying to get me to feed him. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. I forgot to schedule a Discord event yesterday, so let's take care of that real quick. Let's copy the stream link. Put that in the Discord event. Let's see, what's the title of the stream this morning? The title of the stream this morning is .NET Developer Learns Go. So we got that. Let's see. Put that there. This thing starts now. November 8th. Dude, that's silly. Event. Good deal. Alright, we got the Discord event created, which is great. Now we need to pin a message. Good morning. I'm back at it. Trying to be a Go developer in preparation for advent of code. I'm also drinking too much coffee and chatting with you all. Welcome. Alright. Pin that. Here we go. Ready to rock and roll now. A lot of housekeeping things this morning. Hey, what's up, Gun Highs? Hi, will you pass 5 lessons today? I don't know, man. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to stay focused. I make no guarantees. You know what I mean? Good to see you, man. Thanks again for being a member. Appreciate you. We're gonna try. We're gonna try our darndest. Where's... There we go. We need this guy. Yes, chatting is important. No problem. Yeah, chatting is important. It's the most important thing ever. Now, I just don't want to ignore you guys. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like you guys are here. You know, you're hanging out. I know you guys are here too, because probably some people are also curious in the whole learning Go thing. But let's see, we were at pointers and errors, and we were just getting ready. We were just getting ready to basically talk about errors. Is what we were getting ready to talk about. So we were at the point of this where we want to be able to, I think, validate. I think we're testing for a specific error. If I remember right, we're testing for a specific error message. I'll pass on learning Go, though. So you're just leaving me, huh? You're just leaving me behind. You're just letting the Go forget me. Oh, that's funny. Fair, fine. I'll fight the Go for myself. This is a gopher, right? Go's mascot. It's a gopher, right? I didn't just make that up. Excuse me. Oh yeah, this is where we. Assuming the error ultimately gets returned to the user, let's update our test to assert on some kind of an error message rather than just the existence of an error. Did I do this? I don't think I did. I update my assert error method? Can't remember. Yeah, I already did that part. Okay, so we just need to update the caller. Oh, excuse me. Stream. Oh, that I've never seen that message before. Stream Elements bots running. Learn how to customize the bot here. Nice. Very helpful, Stream Elements. Also, I did set up. This was really fun to set up yesterday. Let's see if it works. I did set up speech to text. I've always thought that was so fun when people I watch stream have that functionality in their streams, and I figured out how to. It was actually really easy to set up, but it took me a minute to find where to set it up at. Let's test it real quick. Make sure it works. Overlays? Yeah, overlays. Okay, we're going to emulate this, and we're going to say custom. Good morning. There you go, it worked.
Good morning, chat.
It worked, okay. It sounded like there was a little bit of echo. But I think that might have been because it was coming through two different things. Let me try again.
Good morning, chat.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, cool. It works, man. I love that. That's like one of my favorite things that happens on stream. I'm glad it works. All right, so go. Back to go. Sorry, I got distracted again. So we're checking for a specific error now. It's gonna fail because I'm not returning a specific error. I'm just returning, oh no, which is not helpful. So we need to cd into pointers. We're gonna run go test. And it fails because we returned oh no instead of cannot withdraw insufficient funds. So now we need to go back, try to run the test. Yep, write enough code to make it pass. We have duplication of the error message in both the test code and with the withdraw code. It would be really annoying for the test to fail if someone wanted to reword the error and it's just too much detail for our test. We don't really care what the exact wording is, just that some kind of meaningful error around withdrawing is returned given a certain conditions. Hello, I Love Lamp. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being a member. Appreciate you. Good to have you here. In Go, errors are values, so we can refactor it out into a variable and have a single source of truth for it. In error insufficient funds. The var keyword allows us to define values global to the package. This is a positive change in itself because our new withdraw function looks very clear. next we can refactor our test code to use this value instead of strings. Okay, so I think what he did was, I think the most important thing he created this. So if we come back here, and we're gonna go up to the top here, and we'll just declare, I guess we'll just put it near the withdraw method, or yeah, withdraw method. And instead of this, we'll say return error insufficient funds. Then we'll go back to our tests. Whoops. Go back to our tests, and we will well, do we need to change anything about our tests? Oh, yeah, we do. Error insufficient funds dot error. Like that. Is that how he did it though? I don't know did he just take in the error? Alright, we passed again, nice. Well, let's see, what did he do? He did something with the error helper. Yeah, see, he changed his actual assertion method to take in an error. So let's just copy that. And we'll go over here. And we will delete all this guy. You know, actually, when I was first starting to work with NeoVim, one of the things I found incredibly frustrating about it was that the buffer that you copy things to for NeoVim is not the same buffer as what you use for your system clipboard. And for the longest time, I thought that was a bad thing. It was very annoying, and I wanted to fix it. But now that I've worked with NeoVim long enough, now I kind of like the fact that there's two different clipboards that I can work with, essentially, which is it's actually kind of nice. It grows on you, in my opinion. Oh, whoops. I screwed something up. What is this saying? Expected, but found assert error. Oh, that's because this should be assert error. I was like, what is it talking about? There we go. If you don't see my new PC drama, look above. Not trying to be spammy. Chan, this is a really cool book. I've read through it. Oh, nice, good. One of my other chatters recommended it to me, but it's good to know it's got other people's cosign too. Oh, I love Lamp. You got a new PC? Congratulations, man. I bet that's very exciting. Badly put RAM issue for 2 months. Well, very exciting to get a new PC and get it up and running, and you can start putting it to work, right? That's super exciting. Another useful property of tests is that they help us understand the real usage of our code so we can make sympathetic code. Chan, what are you going to build after this? I don't know if I'm going to build... Well, this is the plan, Chan, at the moment. So the plan is to basically do Tour of Go, which we already did. Yay, us. Then I'm going to do Learn Go with Tests, which I'm probably like a third of the way through with that. Then we're going to practice some old advent of code problems using Go. And then we'll probably build some projects before the end of the month. But the main goal, this is the main goal. Right here, this guy right here. We just want to make sure that when we do advent of code this year using Go, that we can have fun. That we can actually solve a problem. So nothing really specific on the project front, but definitely on the solving problems front, we have something very specific. We can now see that a developer can simply call our code and do an equals check to error insufficient funds and act accordingly. Whilst the Go compiler helps you a lot, sometimes there are things you can still miss. Error handling can sometimes be tricky. There is one scenario we have not tested. To find it, run the following in a terminal to install AirCheck, one of the many linters available for Go. Then, inside the dictionary with your code, run aircheck dot. You should, or directory, sorry, not dictionary, directory. You should get something like wallet test.go. Okay, so can I set this up for NeoVim, this aircheck linter? Let's see. Mason for linters. He called it aircheck. Let's see. I don't see it. Do y'all see it? Gunhigh, sorry, I was absent for a bit. Did I miss something? No, you're good, man. We're still just making our way through the book. You are totally good. Chan asked like what we were doing, what the plan was. Chan, I'm also gonna do AOC with Go. I'm trying to switch from TypeScript to Go. Nice, very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you can join right in. I'm gonna eventually post a leaderboard for everybody that hangs out here on the channel or in my Discord. So if you want to join in on that leaderboard, we can track each other's progress. I think it's gonna be fun. I like it. I know it's super nerdy. Like my wife probably thinks it's super nerdy, but that I want to spend my time that way during the holidays. But it's a lot of fun, man. It's like, you know, I always tell people it's like people that do crossword puzzles, you know, or you know, play Wordle. To me, it's just like that, right? It's a fun way to use your brain, track your progress. Busy Slim, I can achieve something just by watching? Sure. Yes, you can. Come hang out. You can listen to me blabber and write some halfway decent, sometimes working, bug-laden code. But if you like the stream, you'll have bug-free code. So like and subscribe for bug-free code. Oh, I was gonna say, can you do aircheck for NeoVim? How you do this? Go aircheck for, yeah, there you go, NeoVim. To integrate aircheck for Go in NeoVim, you can leverage NeoVim's language support. Okay. First, ensure aircheck is installed on your system. The official Go language server can be configured to use aircheck as part of its diagnostics. This typically involves static check to true in your Go PLS configuration within NeoVim. So I guess we'll try this. I mean, Gemini might be lying to me, but let's try this. So we need to install it first. So how did they tell us to install it? Go install, okay. So I guess it's like a global Go package or something. Like that. I bet this guy has instructions actually on his GitHub. What do you want to bet? Editor integration. Okay, this is for Vim, but I don't want it for Vim. I kind of want it for NeoVim. Check out the install section in the documentation for more detailed instructions. Come on, there's got to be just like a go. There's got to be just like a lazy NeoVim config example, right? I mean, I don't know. We'll see if this gets me to where I want to go. Okay, so we need to edit our NeoVim config. Edit in Vim config. And we'll head over to, I guess we go to our LSP. And wherever we set up Go PLS, just here. I'm not really sure, do I put it? See, I'm using a different, I'm not using LSP config anymore, which this is actually deprecated. If you're a NeoVim user, the LSP config package or whatever you want to call it, it's now deprecated. They want you to use the official, let's see, mvim LSP config. Go PLS. There you go. Default config is command. File types, okay. But what's the... I guess we'll just try it. We'll just try it. We'll just see if we do what Gemini says. Dramon, thanks for subscribing, man. Appreciate you. So Google says I should set the settings and then go PLS equals static check true. But I don't know if I should do all of this, honestly. Maybe NeoVim will tell me. I think I just screwed that up. There we go. Great, it detected a change. Wonderful. So let's write this out. We'll open it back up. And if it worked, then I'm guessing I should see some sort of error in here, right? Whatever it would have found on the command line is what I would expect it to find in here. So what is it supposed to find on the command line? That's the question. Inside the directory, okay, let's copy this. Let's run this. So it found this something with wallet.withdraw, which I think is what it's supposed to find. Yeah, something like this. Okay, cool. So we got that. So now the question is, how do we propagate that error message into NeoVim so that I don't have to run that from the command line? Because right now I don't see it. So add error check to NeoVim Go. And if anybody you in the chat is a NeoVim user and knows how to do this, I would very much appreciate your expertise. Let's see, NeoVim. Maybe we can find somebody's example config in here. Can someone please just show me what your show me what your config looks like? Mm. Well, I don't want to like get so bogged down with this, but I'd really like to figure this out. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, does it need to be figured out right now? Probably not. But does Steven's hyperfixation want it figured out right now? Yes. Yes, it does. But does Steven need to be learning Go? Yes, yes, him does. So I don't know. I don't want to. I do not want to walk away from it, but. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. We won't get hung up on it. Okay, we'll leave it. But just ask me about it sometime. Next time you see me, say, "Hey, Steven, did you figure out how to get the air checks to work within NeoVim for Go?" Just remind me. All right. So what's the point of this error? What this is telling us is that we have not checked the error being returned on that line of code. That line of code on our computer corresponds to our normal withdraw scenario, because we have not checked that if the withdraw is successful, that an error is not returned. Here's the final test code that accounts for this. Assert no error, assert error. Okay, why? Oh, I see. Okay, so we will just, I guess, go here, copy these guys, come back into this guy, which is our test code, and we will just dump these fellas in there. And we're just going to do a little bit of variable assignment instead of the classic way. So we'll say assert error is equal and initialized to. I also don't think I have a formatter set up for Go at the moment. We need to address that at some point. Assert no error, like that. Then we'll come down here and we'll use assert. So we'll say assert no error. And I think if we pass the error check, oh, nope, it still doesn't pass. Oh, because we got to do got, right? Because now we're actually checking to see if that error, there we go. Man, that air check's pretty fast. I mean, I'm not working with a lot of files, but it feels fast. Go test. Saba, air check? What the hell? What do you mean, what the hell? You don't like air check? Volknishk. I don't know how to say your username. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call you Volk. Hey, what are the best resources to learn Go if you know C and Java already? Well, I don't know C and I don't know Java, but I do know C#, and I'm trying to learn Go. And the resources I picked are these two, which I think are come pretty well recommended. So the first one was called Tour of Go, which is, I guess, part of the official Go documentation. And then the second one that I'm going through is called Learn Go with Tess. which is some of the information covered in Learn Go with Test is duplicative of what's in Tour of Go, but in this version, they really hammer home this like TDD approach. And so you learn a little bit about how to write tests in Go, how to write benchmarks, which is important to me. Like the way I kind of work, being able to write tests and debug tests is an important part of my workflow as a developer. So knowing how to do that, I felt was important. Otherwise, I'll just be a helpless little baby trying to solve admin of code. So those two resources are what I've been using. And also the link for Learn Go with Test is in the description of this stream. And then the Tour of Go docs you can find at go.dev. What's up, Artwork Studios? Good to see you. EDL Steven, what's your opinion on vibe coding? Okay, so I have a subtle take on vibe coding. I think vibe coding is totally fine and wonderful, and if people who don't know how to code are building things using vibe coding, I think that's fine. Like vibe coding to me is very similar to like no code or low code tools. Obviously, because you're a little closer to the bare metal with what you're working with, you're not working with a GUI. You are signing yourself up for a little bit more complexity and maintenance overhead than if you were to use like a no code or low code tool. My only issue with vibe coding is the segment of vibe coders who think that now everyone who knows how to code and all software engineers and developers are now obsolete and we don't need them anymore. That group of vibe coders, that group of people in that community, I just don't have any time or patience for, right? You know, for example, I use AI quite a bit to do like the thumbnail on this video, the little gopher and me shaking hands, that's AI, right? So I use AI tools a lot like vibe coders use AI tools to do coding. I use that stuff for other creative things. But I don't go around saying we have no need for graphic designers, we have no need for artists, we have, you know what I mean? Like, I don't do that. Because I still believe those people are valuable and bring something to the table that's intangible, that no amount of AI is ever going to make me the designer that a professional designer is. It's just, so that's my take. I think vibe coding is wonderful if it unlocks people's potentials to be able to create and manifest their ideas into the world. Now, if you take the next step and you say, well, now that we've got vibe coding, we don't even need professional developers. We don't need software engineers. That's when I'm like, okay, pal, shut the fuck up. Which might make me unpopular in today's day and age, but that's how I feel. All right, wrapping up pointers. Go copies values when you pass them to functions and methods. So remember that. You got to have pointers if you want to mutate state. The fact that Go takes a copy of values is useful. Yes, it is useful. It's also protective, right? Because it kind of forces you into this place where like, if you want to mutate something, you have to very explicitly opt into that, which I think is good. See, pointers can be nil. When a function returns a pointer to something, you need to make sure you check if it's nil, or you might raise a runtime exception. The compiler won't help you here. This is important. So this is something that actually .NET helps you with. So there's something in .NET that you can turn on, which basically turns on nullability checks. That basically tells you, hey, if you're working with a reference type or a known value type whose default value is null, it'll basically warn you, right? And you can actually turn the warnings into errors. So they're saying Go's compiler doesn't have that. I wonder if there's like a linter you can turn on that will tell you that, hey, you have a nil check that you haven't actually checked for here. Errors are the way to signify failure when calling a function or method. Great. By listening to our test, we concluded that checking for a string, yep, we refactored to kind of a strongly typed error. This is not the end of the story with error handling. You can do more sophisticated things, but this is just an intro. Of course, this is just an intro. We're just learning. Create new types from existing ones. Yeah, this was pretty cool. Being able to create a type called Bitcoin that just basically aliases the int type is very nice. Okay, now we're moving on to maps. Everyone's favorite tool, right? If you have a problem, what's the solution? Use a hash map. 67 Alaska. Nice username, man. Respect. Forcing people on the internet to say 67. It's a power move. Brain not learn code means AI not exist, else no one code. I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess that could be, but I mean, that's years. You're talking years down the line, right? But that's a similar issue we have with a lot. I don't know if that's a real issue because it's a similar issue we have with a lot of technologies, right? Like, for example, if everyone was to lose electricity tomorrow across the globe, there's a very small number of people in the world who would actually be useful in that scenario, you know? Like people that actually have the skills to like build and make and hunt. You know what I mean? Like all those basic primitive survival type of abilities would all of a sudden become very, very valuable. But it's kind of a risk we all take though as we progress up this technological ladder, right? Like a lot of us let go of these old skills in favor of new ones. So AI could be a similar thing if there really is no reason to write non-natural language code anymore. I'm guessing more and more people will give up that skill, in favor of the newer one. Our work, she was way less productive today. All I did was make a stop motion animation, post more videos on my channel, work on my level, built a trading hall in my friend's Minecraft server. Hold on. You started that sentence by saying way less productive today, and then you listed like 5 or 6 different things you actually accomplished. So I think that was like a humble flex a little bit. I think you were very productive today. What's a map? So a map is just you can think of it like an object. If you're familiar with JavaScript, it's like an object, right? Key value pairs. That's what it is. I made this name several years ago. I just recently began regretting the decision. But 6 means persistent and 7 is luck. I live in Alaska too. Nice. Alaska. It looks pretty up there, but it also looks kind of difficult to live. At least if you're not like in one of the major cities, it looks like it's difficult to live up there. That's hilarious too that you put 67 in your username before 67 became a thing. I mean, who would have known? I said this yesterday. Some people were probably here, may have been here for it, but yesterday I told chat that at my kids' Halloween thing at their school, like a whole group of teachers dressed up as 6'7", and I thought it was the ultimate reverse flex on the children because I'm sure those teachers have been listening to 6'7" all year. In Arrays and Slices, you saw how to store values in order. Now we will look at a way to store items by key and look them up quickly. Amy said, hi, hello, Amy, how are you? Good to see you. Appreciate you stopping by the stream. Maps allow you to store items in a manner similar to a dictionary. You can think of the key as the word and the value as the definition. What better way is there to learn about maps than to build our own dictionary? Lovely. First, assuming we already have some words with their definitions in the dictionary, if we search for a word, it should return the definition of it. All right, let's write some test code. Well, at least now people have a more comprehensive name for memes. I guess. I mean, I honestly think it's funny. The whole 6'7" thing is funny because it's almost like if people hadn't made a big deal about it, it would never became a thing. But because it annoyed the older people, the nonsensical nature of it, because it irritated them so bad, the kids like doubled down on it, right? Like for those of you who have siblings, you know what I mean? Like if you mess with your sibling and they don't give you a reaction, you just move on. But the minute you mess with your sibling and they react, it just like it feeds whatever you were looking for in the first place, and then you just keep antagonizing them. And I feel like that's what 6-7 was. 6-7 was this nonsensical thing, and then it annoyed the older generations, and so the younger generation was like, "Yep, we got him," uh, which is funny, and also, I'm sure, infuriating if you're a parent or something. Oh, I guess I can't create new files that way. Package test.go. I gotta actually remove that one. You know, Steven, it's crazy. Me and my sister are one generation apart, but only 1 year apart. Oh, really? You guys fell like right on the line? I think I'm right on the line. I think technically, depending on what stat you look at, me and my brother can be considered millennial or Gen Z, depending on like where the cutoff is. I think the cutoff for millennials is usually like 95, and I was born 93. My brother was born 95. So we're sort of like almost right on that borderline of like 2 generations. I'm Gen Z and my sister are Gen Alpha. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, which just kind of shows you how silly the whole generational thing is, right? Like, I think it's really important for people that want to paint generations in colors to remember that, right? Because like you and your sister are actually probably very similar, even though generationally you'll be labeled different things. You know, like you'll probably share a lot of similarities actually, being that close in age. So I think that's super important for like employers and bosses, even yourself, like working with coworkers, to remember that. Just because people like to talk in categories doesn't mean that everybody in that category actually fits the description, you know? I'm eating 2 oranges this morning. I'm trying to ward off any illness. My youngest son was home all sick all week from school, and then my oldest came home on Friday and his nose was running. So now I'm trying to suffocate any virus away from me using vitamin C and fluids. So far it seems to be working. It's not very scientific, but I just compare 6-7 to the generation that said word for everything. Word. Word. Declaring a map is somewhat similar to an array, except that it starts with the map keyword and requires 2 types. The first is the key type, which is written inside the brackets. The second is the value type, which goes after the brackets. Okay? The key type is special. It can only be a comparable type, because without the ability to tell if 2 keys are equal, we have no way to ensure that we are getting the correct value. Comparable types are explained in depth in the language spec. The value type, on the other hand, can be any type you want. It can never be another map. Ooh, oranges. My favorite is the skin. You like to eat the skin? I don't ever eat the skin. That's hilarious. I never eat the skin. Someone's going to be like, well, the skin's where all the vitamin C is, Steven. And I'll be like, no! The whole point of eating oranges. The value type, on the other hand, can be any type you want. It can even be another map. Everything else in the test should be familiar. Try to run the test. Yep, I already ran the test. There's the dictionary he was talking about. Write the minimal amount of code for the test to run and check the output. It's a type of snack here. Oh, really? So are they dried, or is it just like cut up pieces of the skin? Let's see, write enough code to make it pass. Great. Getting a value out of a map is the same as getting a value out of an array. You pass the map, or you index into the map using the key. Okay, I know how to do that. So we do dictionary, word, but Copilot, I do not need you trying to help me. God, at this point I should just cancel my Copilot subscription because I turn it off more than I use it nowadays. It's dried up and has kind of a sour sweet taste. I think I might like it if it's dry. If it's dried, maybe I would enjoy it. I'll have to try to find something like that. So dried orange peels, huh? Okay. I just began to get back into coding with Visual Studio, using Collada, DOM, C#, C++ to start making my own object editor tool for DayZ. Because I'm making game models and tired of the outdated tools. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, that sounds definitely like a developer problem. This tool sucks. Let me create a better version of it. I hope you're having fun, man, getting back into it. Not working like they did on previous Windows. Yeah, that can be frustrating when your tools aren't quite the way you want them to be. I totally get that. Totally get that. All right, we're just creating a little helper class here, or helper function, it looks like. So let's copy this guy. And we're still passing. Look at us. Making stuff happen. I decided to create an assert strings helper to make the implementation more general. Wonderful. So we can improve our dictionary usage by creating a new type around map and making search a method. This is interesting because a lot of this guy's code is very, it seems very object-oriented, right, in its approach, but Go is supposedly more of a functional language, or built around more of a functional paradigm. But he's immediately, the first thing he's doing is he's encapsulating behavior, right? Data and behavior, right? So he's basically saying, hey, a dictionary is this thing that can have a list or a map of words and definitions, and now it has a method to search and access that list of words and definitions, which classically, I feel like in the functional paradigm, you wouldn't do. You would just have the data structure, which would be your map, and a function that works with that data structure. So it's kind of interesting feeling out his. He's obviously likes Go, right? He obviously, because he's teaching about it, but then at the same time, it doesn't seem like he follows the maybe conventional paradigm in Go, which is kind of interesting. Or maybe I'm just over emphasizing the what do you want to call it? The functional paradigm in the Go community. Yeah, we don't need to pass in the dictionary. We can just pass in test. And we go test. I mean, I personally like object-oriented code. I just know a lot of people shit on it. And that's why they use languages that have more functional paradigms. It's fun to relearn the basics, pushing myself to observe more. Oh no, King Bean Bean, I don't even know what that name is, King whatever, has come into our chat and he seems to be spamming. I'm curious if Stream Elements is gonna hit him. I haven't seen Stream Elements drop the hammer before. A lot of functions in dictionaries conflict with each other in hidden errors, last I remember. Oh, really? Huh. Well, I guess we're gonna find out. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think this is the way to be. If Stream Elements doesn't get you and you continue to spam my chat, I'll probably just drop the hammer on you myself. We have very low tolerance here for trolls of any kind. Write the test first. The basic search is very easy to implement, but what will happen if we supply a word that's not in our dictionary? W, Stephen Freeborn. Thanks, man. I appreciate the W. We actually get nothing back. This is good because the program can continue to run, but there's a better approach. The function can report that the word is not in the dictionary. This way, the user isn't left wondering if the word doesn't exist or if there is just no definition. This might not seem very useful for a dictionary, however, it's a scenario that could be key in other use cases. So what's he saying? He's basically saying we're just gonna indicate if you found it or not, is what he's saying, right? He's saying, hey, the dictionary, it might not be present, and if it's not present, the program won't crash, but you'd probably like to know that the definition wasn't there, right? Whoops. I got rid of the helper. Okay. Alright. Get fucked, King. Get fucked. What a douchebag. That bit there just explained also it's useful to not throw conflictions too. I think it was saying it's useful to be able to report, like it's not gonna throw, so you want to be able to report that your search actually turned nothing up, is what it was saying. King Bean is an 8-year-old kid. 8. Well, yeah, I honestly don't give a shit who's behind the account, but if you act like an asshole or a douchebag, I'm just gonna call you an asshole or a douchebag. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine you're in the real world and you see a group of people at a coffee shop and they're hanging out and they're having a conversation, and you just walk up and stand next to their conversation and just start saying W, 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 like, how's that going to go over for you? Not well. And it shouldn't go over for you well on the internet either. There should be some level of let's not act like an asshat on the internet. Did you see the link, Steven? No, I may have missed it in all the spamming. Let me scroll back up. Oh, you sent it in Discord. Sorry. Yeah, I completely missed your message, man. Sorry. Let me, well, actually, I'll look at it after stream, Artwork Studios. I don't want to get in the habit of people sending me stuff in Discord and me checking it on stream, right? Because then all I'll do all stream long is check links in Discord. So I'll look at it after. The way to handle this scenario in Go is to return a second argument, which is an error type. Notice that we've seen in the pointers and error section here, in order to assert the error message, we first check that the error is not nil, then we use .error method to get the string, which we can then pass to the assertion. Great. I think there's actually, if I remember right from the tour of Go, we can actually accomplish this a lot easier by just using what's built into dictionaries. Like I'm pretty sure we could just do value, and then I'm pretty sure we can do okay, D word like this, and I'm pretty sure we can just return these. But I guess this is a Boolean, huh? This is not an error. And what he wants is an error. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Expected to get an error, but we didn't. So we need to update our code so we return an error if it's not present. It's basically preserved Mandarin peels. Nice. Okay, yeah, for sure. I'll take a look at it after stream. Steven, I don't think you can check the link. You need to log in. Oh, okay, well, yeah. I'll take a look at it after stream. Alright. What are we doing here? We are going to go back to our map, and we're going to say, okay. Actually, I prefer to keep make the variables very well named. I know okay seems to be the way they handle that in Go, but I'm going to say is present. So if is present, then we are going to say return. Also, I don't need the parens, I know. I'm going to keep adding those till the day I die writing Go. We're going to return V, and we're going to return a nil. Otherwise, we're going to say nil and error dot new. No, errors dot new. Fuck. Why is this complaining? The type must be a pointer. Oh, an empty string. We have to return an empty string. Okay. So that's a question I have. So let's go ahead and answer that question. This is a good part of learning. When you have a question, you don't understand quite why. Let's ask Gemini. I'm learning Go, and I have a function whose return type is string. When I attempt to return a nil value, I get a compiler error. Can you not return nil for the string type? Well, I guess not, because the zero value of a string is an empty string, isn't it? It's not nil. So that's probably why, right? Also, it may look a little unappealing, but it's heaven. Well, unless you eat too much at once. Well, that's any food, right? If you eat too much of anything at once. You're right, you cannot return nil for the type string. This is a common point of confusion when coming from other languages. In Go, nil is a value that can only be assigned to nillable types. And a string is not a nillable type. Okay, that's good to know. I probably already should have known that. The zero value, every type in Go has a zero value. Yep, the zero value is an empty string. Huh, I wish there was a better way to represent that I want the z. Is there like a, in Go, is there like a default keyword like there is in C#. I probably don't need to use 2.5 Pro to ask these questions. I probably don't even have to use AI to ask these questions. I'm burning way too much electricity. In Go, the default keyword is used almost exclusively inside switch statement. That's fine. For getting a default value, this is the key difference. In C# uses default T, or just default, to get the value. Inside Go, Go relies on the concept of the zero value. Huh. So you initialize it, huh? Well, I wonder actually, instead of doing this, right? I'm guessing if it's not present, then V is an empty string to begin with. You know? Could not find the word you were looking for. Okay. You want a different message. That's funny. Okay. Go test. Cool. We passed. We're making progress. Look at us. Being a Go developer. And then, of course, we're going to refactor into a very specific error that we can reference in our code. It's just good. Let's go and copy this guy. Copy. Go back over to our test code. And then we'll say error not found. Return V, error not found. Sounds like 0 and default are nameplace in the core struct. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like to me that Go doesn't have a default keyword like you can use in C#. You just have to know what the default value is for that type, and you can either initialize a variable of that type, which will initialize the variable to the default value, or you can just actually return the specific default value. Which is fine. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm sure you can create, I'm sure there's packages out there that have constants and stuff you can use, you know. You can get rid of the magic error in our search function by extracting it into a variable. This will also allow us to have a better test. Assert error. Some of this, I will say some of this, what do I want to call it? Some of the content in here is becoming a little repetitive. Like, I know what his goal is. Like, I know he's trying to drive home. I know he's trying to drive home this TDD mentality, but I find myself getting a little frustrated. Because it's like I want to just kind of skip through some of it, you know? Still passed. Wonderful. Wonderful. We have a great way to search the dictionary. However, we have no way to add new words to our dictionary. I can fix that. Test search. And so we're going to come down here and we're going to add test add. Of course, there's no add method. So if we run our tests again, we need to add an add method. So we'll go back over here. We will go to our package. All right, so we define a type, a function, a method. No, we are going to define a function and turn it into a method because it has a receiver type, or it has a receiver named D of type dictionary. And it's going to have add, which takes a word, and that's a string. And for now, we will have it return nothing. Seems legit. Then inside here, we're going to access the dictionary, and we're going to say word is equal, to definition, I think. So we need word, which is, and then definition. And it passes. Although I know what he's going to say, right? He's probably going to say something like, okay, well, what happens if, you know, the word's already present? Are we going to overwrite the word? Right? Like, what happens if the word's already in the dictionary? That's an edge case we haven't accounted for. And he's probably going to have us refactor to do something with that. Write enough code to make it pass. Yep, we got it. Adding to a map is also similar to an array. You just need to specify a key and set it equal to a value. Wonderful. In a core database, I think Pablo would be proud seeing the productivity. I think you'd be proud too. In a core database where the core files already labeled them to just be written as defined them as, except when you make a label for... I have no idea what you're talking about, 6-7 Alaska. I have no idea what any of those sentences meant. An interesting property of maps is that you can modify them without passing as an address to it, e.g. ampersand my map. This may make them feel like a reference type, but as Dave Cheney describes, they are not. A map value is a pointer to a runtime.hmap structure. So when you pass a map to a function/method, you are indeed copying it, but just the pointer part, not the underlying data structure that contains the data. Okay, that's not confusing at all. That's so confusing. Why would they do that? A gotcha with maps is that they can be a nil value. A nil map behaves like an empty map when reading, but attempts to write to a nil map will cause a runtime panic. What? So if you read from a nil map, you're fine. If you write to a written nil map, you're fucking blown. You're done. And a map is both a value and a reference type, basically, because they're saying basically you pass a copy, but you're only copying the pointer. You're not copying the underlying data. Therefore, you should never initialize a nil map variable. Wonderful. Just don't do this. I'm guessing this is a linter. You can probably set up a linter rule in your code base that says don't ever do this. Instead, you can initialize an empty map or use the make keyword to create a map for you. Yeah, okay. Both approaches create an empty hash map and point dictionary at it, which ensures that you will never get a runtime panic. We do not want any runtime panics around here. There isn't much to refactor. Who majored in liberal arts? Because we need that for learn C# with tests. You will, yeah. There's a lot of reading involved. You're gonna need to have some literature background. There isn't much to refactor in our implementation, but the test could use a little simplification. I don't really know. He just made a helper. That's all he did. He likes his helper methods, that's for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like a good helper method too. Let's go down here. Although I think Devon Shu, thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate it. Although I kind of feel like this is a premature optimization, right? It's like I wouldn't, if it was me writing this code, I probably wouldn't create this helper until I had written a second test. You know, like maybe even a third test. I don't care if my test code just kind of repeats itself that much. We made variables for word and definition and moved the definition assertion into its own helper function. Wonderful. Our add is looking good, except we didn't consider what happens when the value we are trying to add already exists. Didn't I tell you guys? I told you guys. This is where he was going with this lesson. Map will not throw an error if the value already exists. Instead, they will go ahead and overwrite the value with the newly provided value. What you just read pretty much sums up what I said. Well, what I read was far clearer than what you said. I'm sorry, 6-7, but it's just what was on the page was much clearer than what you wrote in the chat. This can be convenient in practice, but makes our function name less than accurate. Add should not modify existing values. It should only add new words to our dictionary. Yeah, okay. That's fair. So, that's fair. I like how I've become all judgmental all of a sudden of what this guy is trying to teach me. Let's see. Definition. Oh, this is complaining because we haven't actually done the implementation. So if we try to run this, it's going to fail. All good. I failed language arts. Yo, which is the best job for future? The best job for future is the one that pays you. Yeah, man. I think y'all are trying. I think there's way too many people in the dev ecosystem right now that are having existential panic about their careers. And I'm sorry, man, but like, if you haven't fully embraced change and adaptability at this point in your life, like that's priority numero uno, right? Life is going to throw a lot of shit at you. You're going to have to change jobs. The world of working the same job at the same company for 40 years and then retiring is over. You know, it was over 20 years ago. And so now you just have to be prepared to roll with the punches. Like in which sector? Again, it's like whatever thing that you want to do. I mean, ideally you can achieve what I don't even know how to say this. This is what you're aiming for, right? Let me pull this up. This is what you're aiming for, right? You're aiming to find ikigai, I think is what you say. This is a Japanese word, I think. You're aiming to find something that is in your passion, right? Feels like you're helping the world. Something that you're actually good at, something you can be paid for. This is what you're trying to find. However, what matters the most in the real world is this guy. This is numero uno, especially if you have a family, if you have kids, wife, right? People counting on you to provide. This is what matters. You need a job that pays you. Once you establish a job that pays you, then you can worry about all the other things, right? You can try to move closer to something that's more aligned with your mission or something that's closer aligned with your passion. But the first and foremost is you just need to be focused on maintaining a job that pays you. Yeah. Job that pays you first and foremost, income coming in. Then you can worry about getting the ideal job. And when the ideal job goes away, when AI takes all of our jobs, then we go back to focusing on getting a job that pays us. Then once we get another job that pays us, we can worry about getting a job that's more aligned to our vision. My ikigai is programming. Well, I think that that's wonderful. I should probably figure out how to say that, shouldn't I? I just think as a person, if you just spend all your time thinking about what do I need to be worrying, what's the best job to future proof myself, right? I don't think that's the question. I think the question is, what's the best way I can future proof myself? And that is by being very good at learning things and being adaptable and coachable, right? Being willing to change your mind, change your skill set, and then being very good at acquiring new knowledge and new skills. That's how you make yourself kind of resilient. And as Nassim Taleb would say, that's how you make yourself anti-fragile. Not only resilient, but anti-fragile. You actually get better the more that things happen to you.
Ikigai.
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 Ikigai. Ikigai. That's how you say that. Dude, my dog is just like, he's on one. My German friend failed in arts. Help? Oh, I can't help with that. Yeah. If you spend all your time worrying, there's not enough time for you to be acting to fix what you're worried about. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the worrying is not useful. Like worrying about some event in the future that will or will not happen is just, it's not a good use of time. Not a good use of energy or effort. I'm in the wrong thing. Package test. Package. Did I just copy and I copied and pasted that into the wrong thing? Damn it. And now I can't undo it because I closed the buffer. I don't know what was here before, but it's gone now. Package dot. This was the one I want. No, this is the one I want. God, okay, I'm in the right place. I had myself so freaking turned around. I'm just bouncing back and forth between files and getting nowhere. Okay. So we're creating two kind of like constant, globally available errors that we can reference in our code and outside, or in the package and outside, or in our function and outside our function. And then we're also now dealing with returning an error as part of our add. So let's copy this. Let's go back to our code. See Artwork Studios. Have a good day, man. Appreciate hanging out with us. Error not found. Oh, well, we don't. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Yeah, man, no worries. Live your life, Do what you got to do. You know how I feel about that kind of stuff. You guys, I mean, people have lives. You guys can't sit for hours and just hang out with me all the time. Write enough code to make it pass. So we'll do a search, and then we're going to check if the error is not found. then we will, so if the error, so basically what we're saying is if we search for it and it's not found, then we will add it. If the word exists, yeah, so if error is nil, that means the word exists. And then by default, we will return whatever error that search gave. Which right now I think search will only... I don't know what other error search would throw. Or would return, sorry. I shouldn't use the word throw. I should say I don't know what other error it would return. I will have to say I do not like this. I want my case statements to be indented. But I think that is the... that's the... I don't know how to control that. So when I don't know how to control that. I don't like that this is... I find that hard to read. Hey, what's up, Minecraft Wolfie? Good to see you. Yeah, happy Saturday, man. Hope you're doing well. When I've been learning about 3D graphics, buffers and buffer overflows became easier to understand for me. Well, good. I'm glad, man. Yeah, that's awesome. It's always nice when you feel like you're learning something. Having a switch like this provides an extra safety net in case search returns an error other than error not found. Cool. We don't have too much to refactor, but as our error usage grows, we can make a few modifications. We made the errors constants. This required us to bring our own dictionary error type, which implements the error interface. You can read more about the details in this excellent article by Dave Cheney. Simply put, it makes the errors more reusable and immutable. Next, let's create a function to update the definition of a word. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. So remove those guys, remove this guy. So what am I looking at here? Let me try to understand this for a second. So basically we're saying the type dictionary error is just a string. And then this type can become an error. It can be treated like an error everywhere because it implements the error method. So we're essentially taking a string, turning it to a dictionary error type, and then in the error method, we're taking the error and turning it back into a string. Okay, and then the constants make, I guess, these immutable, so you can't change them, but people can still access them outside of our package, and we can use them, or not our package. Sorry, that's the wrong word. They can access them outside of this file, I guess is what I should say. Or I guess maybe not outside of this. Yeah, outside of this file or outside of this package, because I think that's what the capitalization means, right? It's like it's accessible outside of whatever the package definition is. Which is I think that's a nice pattern. Yeah, I can go with that. I can get with that. Still works too. There we go. That's why tests are valuable. Right? Okay, now let's create a function to update the definition. So let's get our function, our test function here. Let's go over to our package.test. We'll come down here and we'll add our new test function in here. It's already 5:40. Wow. These streams go by faster and faster every day. Every day I stream, the streams go by quicker and quicker. Christian guy programmer, your code looks fuzzy for me. I'm on mobile. I'm sorry, man. Let me double check it on my end, but If it looks okay on my end, I'm gonna guess it's probably nothing on my side. Maybe you need to increase whatever the quality is for the video in your YouTube player, whatever you're watching YouTube on. Let me pull up my stream real quick. Turn the volume down so we don't have any reverb. Yeah, it doesn't look fuzzy on my end. Looks clear. I mean, you do have to get rid of the chat, though. The chat overlays it. At least on my screen, it does. Turn the live chat off. Yeah, I just turned the live chat off, and it looks pretty clear to me. And I don't know if you can see that. If it's fuzzy for you, it's that you probably can't see my phone, but it looks okay on my end. Which I know doesn't help you guys much. Oh, shit, I just realized I need to adjust my canvas a little bit because, like, part of my... I didn't realize that. I wish someone would have told me that. My stream's kind of, like, cut off on the sides. I thought I had the right canvas size, but I'm gonna have to fix that. What are you working on? Christian Guy Programmer. If you just read the pinned message, we're or I guess it's probably down below. We're working on learning Go for Advent of Code. That's what we're working on. 199. Hello, 199. It's not supposed to be. No, I didn't even realize it was cut off like that. But no biggie. I can fix that. All right, let's add an update. Update. So I guess this is going to take a word and a definition again. It's just going to handle them differently. Right? That's the only difference. If we pass in a new word, update will add it to the dictionary. Yeah, so we have a similar type of issue. So let's grab these tests that actually... Oop. Why is that complaining? I guess I don't have that error yet. Hey, what's up, Tyrion? Hello, congrats for 5K. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we crossed over the 5K sub mark, didn't we? Pretty exciting times, you know? Pretty exciting times. Although I personally, I try not to worry about the sub and the view counts too much. You know, I feel like the more you fixate on it, the more like you fixate on it. It almost becomes like this thing where, like, if you're worried about the numbers and all of a sudden you're opening your phone 20 times a day looking at the numbers, which isn't really healthy. But I guess if if you're doing YouTube as like a business, you know, like if that's your full-time income, then you probably do need to pay attention to it that way. I guess I'm fortunate in the fact that I have a regular job and I just do YouTube for fun for the most part, so I don't have to be so obsessed with it. Want cannot perform operation on word because it does not exist. And instead I got nil. That's because we haven't implemented it yet. So basically we're going to do the same thing. We're going to search for it. If the error is not found, we're going to return error word does not exist. If the case is nil, then we will do word equals definition, and then otherwise we'll just return the error that was returned by search. I find this API incredibly frustrating. So if you try to update something that's not already there, it returns an error, and if you try to add something that's not there, it returns an error. I'd much rather, instead of having an add and an update, I'd much rather have an upsert, right? That would be my preferred functionality, especially if you have a unique identifier, right? Because the word should be unique. So if you give me, I feel like as the caller, if I give you a word and it's not there, just add it. And if I give you that same word again with a new value, update it. But we'll happily go along with this implementation because we're learning. You hit 5K? Yeah, I think we're over 5,000. Yeah. When you said canvas, are you referring to the width? Yes, the width of the stream is like, see, like it's hard for me to show you on my OBS canvas, but on my OBS in my layout, well, and maybe it's the phone, maybe it's my phone, but like on my, so the canvas I have is 1920 or 1920 by 1080, right? So it's all laid out in OBS and it looks correct. It looks like there's a little bit of border that doesn't cut off my screen or my camera or that scrolly bar that I have with the member names. But when I go to look at my stream on my phone, it's like the ratio of my phone screen doesn't fit that 1920 by 1080 ratio, and so it chops off the edges of my screen, which I'm not really sure what is the right approach to that, because all phones have different height to width ratios, right? So like, what do? Do you model? I don't know. I guess maybe the solution would be just give myself more boundary around the edge of my canvas so that I can accommodate for different screen sizes a little bit better. I know you guys want to hear about all my streamer issues, my OBS issues. The only problem with upserts is that you shift the responsibility of ensuring you want to update to the front end. For example, to prevent deleting data when trying to add an existing record. Yeah, I guess so, but I feel like in the case of a dictionary, I don't know. I guess in the case of the dictionary, it's like that's what that data structure is for, is like unique keys with unique values. And so I just feel like the expected behavior there is how the default dictionary works. Like the default map works in that way, right? It works in an upserty way. And so if you're going to build a dictionary interface or a dictionary type to wrap the map, you should just stick with the upsert behavior of the underlying map. In my opinion, I mean, that's just it's just like, it could be wrong, but like that'd be my take. Because the keys you're using to update, modify, add, they should be unique. And if so, like if you're worried about the key not being unique, well then you have a whole nother issue. All right, I think we finished our first lesson of the day. Let's see. Update on declaring a new error for update. We could reuse error not found and not add a new error. However, it is often better to have a precise error for when an update fails. Having specific errors gives you more information about what went wrong. Here's an example in a web app. You can redirect the user when error not found is encountered, but display an error message when error word does not exist is encountered. That's fair. Let's create a function to delete a word in the dictionary. Wonderful. I'm just going to skip down here because I know he's going to have me add more tests, so I'm just going to grab the complete tests. Now I'm cheating a little bit, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so we've got to implement for existing word and for a non-existing word. Yep. Delete is not defined yet. Whoops. If I could figure out how to switch tabs. And we're going to go to package.go. It is slightly cut off, but I never noticed, though I could say just scale it down like 0.05 or something. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. That's exactly what I'm going to do, is just take the scene and just kind of like go a little smaller, and then that gives me a little bit more room on the left and right edges and the top and bottom, just to prevent it being cut off. Hey Steven, I made some art in the I will be happy to look at things in Discord after stream. Yeah, for sure. I'll take a peek at your art. Function has a receiver named D that is of type dictionary. We delete the word, which is a string, and we're also going to have to handle the case where the word's not there. And then I pretty much, I think, can guess what this implementation is going to look like. We're going to search for it. If it's not there, we'll return word does not exist. Otherwise, we'll delete it. Otherwise, we'll return the error, the default case. And then if we fall through all the way, we should return nil. Go test. Look at us doing work. I think I hope that's the end of the lesson. We're getting through like one lesson to stream. This is really bad. In this section, we covered a lot. We made a full CRUD API for our dictionary. Throughout the process, we learned how to create maps, search for maps in maps, add new maps. Search for items in maps, add new items in maps, update items in maps, delete. Yep. Learned about errors. Wonderful. Look at us. Ooh, now I just made a video on dependency injection. Let's go. I don't know why, but it's so funny. Well, I'm glad you brought yourself some humor. Hello, Butterscotch. Good to see you, man. All right, guys. It's time for coffee break. Coffee break time. And I have something fun to show you guys for coffee break time. This was Pablo's idea. Pablo's not here, but Pablo's one of my chatters, one of my most frequent chatters. Very valued member of the Code, Coffee, and Chat community. Let's see, Control Shift P, split pane up is what we want. This was Pablo's idea. Let's see if this works. BRB. Yeah. You like the animation? Dude, the animation took me way too much time. Trying to figure out like just the right positioning. Let's see. Oh, dang it. I just closed it. BRB. There we go. Oh no. I'm still trying to figure out what the right size of the BRB. Hey Butterscotch, good to see you, man. Hope you're having a good morning. I may have already said that. Sorry if I already said that. I got distracted by showing off my new ASCII thing. All right, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. If you guys are gonna hang out, great. I'll be right back in about 5 minutes. If you're not and you need to move along with your day, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'll be back. I'll probably be live for another hour or two. We're gonna keep working on learning Go, but I appreciate you guys being here. All right, BRB. Go get a cup of coffee yourself or whatever your preferred caffeinated beverage is. I mean, it has to be caffeinated, obviously. Hot chocolate sounds good. Hot chocolate indeed. All right, I'm glad I got to use my be right back sign. I feel like my stream is really starting to like be a stream. I've got text to speech. I've got a be right back sign I can be proud of now. How do I close this? I can't remember how. There you go. Dependency injection, my favorite topic. As somebody who loves testing, I appreciate a good old dependency injection topic or article. You're muted. Okay, not muted. I appreciate you reminding me. I was muted. Yeah, I sat down and said, I think I said hot chocolate sounds good, and I was muted. So I appreciate your artwork studios looking out. I can't tell you how frustrated I was when that happened to me. I mean, it wasn't like I had a lot of people watching my stream, obviously, because I was muted the whole time. But I was so frustrated because I sat down to write code for like 2 hours on video while streaming, and the whole time there's just no audio. I think that video is still on my YouTube channel, actually. YouTube.com. I just left it up there because I thought it was funny. Let's see. Mute. Yeah, a muted noob sets up LSPs in NeoVim. It's like a 2-hour stream of just silence, music and silence. I'll just, if anybody asks, I'll be like, it was on purpose. I was going for like an ASMR feel. It is assumed that you have read the struct section before, as some understanding of interfaces will be needed for this. There are a lot of misunderstandings around dependency injection around the programming community. Hopefully this guide will show you don't need a framework. It does not overcomplicate your design. It facilitates testing. It allows you to write great general purpose functions. I'm on board. All that sounds wonderful. We want to write a function that greets someone, just like we did in the Hello World chapter. But this time we are going to be testing the actual printing. Just to recap, here's what the function could look like. Oh, I probably need to set up a new package, don't I? We're going to go here, and then we got to Control T, or Control Tab, I mean. We're going to back up one directory. We are going to make a dir called, what are we going to call this? DI. We're going to go into DI. We're going to go mod init example.com/di. I still don't think I completely understand the package system. So whenever we get into the place where we can start creating our own projects, like maybe we build like a little web API or a CLI or something, I still don't know if I completely understand how I'm supposed to organize a project. Let's see, but how can we test this? Calling format.printf prints to standard out, which is pretty hard for us to capture using the testing framework. What we need to do is be able to inject, which is just a fancy word for pass in the dependency of printing. I just made a video about this exact thing. If you're curious about this, I just made a whole video. The video I talk more about C#, or actually my demos in C#, but I hammer this home in the video. So if you want to go watch it, it's called How I Use Dependency Injection to Make Code Testable. I'm actually going to shill this right now in the chat. But I'm basically, I made a whole video about this. It's got to be probably the most powerful concept, I think, when it comes to testing. Interfaces help a lot with this, but at the end of the day, you're still, even when you're using interfaces, you're reliant on this idea of injecting dependencies. That's the key concept you're relying on. Wow, when I'm not chatting much, it's so quiet. Yeah, which is okay, man. I mean, I'm a lurker. I'm in all the streams that I watch, I just lurk, you know. I'm not much in the chat. So we are happy to have people that are here just to chill, listen to me yabber or jabber, and occasionally write some code. So y'all are all welcome here. You can interact as much or as little, but you should like the stream, because liking the stream gives you bug-free code for life. So, I mean, it's a single like for bug-free code for life. It seems kind of like a worthy trade-off. I'm just saying. Don't want to tell you how to live your life. Be interesting if the sound got quieter then louder. Yeah, that would be interesting. What we need to do, okay, so our function doesn't need to care where or how the printing happens. So we should accept an interface rather than a concrete type. If we do that, we can then change the implementation to print to something we control so that we can test it. In real life, you should inject in something that writes the standard out. If you look at the source code of format.printf, you can see a way for us to hook in. It returns the number of bytes written and any write error encountered. Interesting. Under the hood, printf just calls fprintf, passing in os.standardout. So there you go. I mean, this function is using di, right? It's passing in an implementation. So what exactly is os.standardout? What does fprintf expect to get passed to it for the first argument? It expects a io.writer, and this is an interface. We learned this in Tour of Go. This is an interface. An io.writer, which is an interface that implements this type. From this, we can infer that os.standardout implements io.writer. Printf passes os.standardout to fprintf, which expects an io.writer. As you write more Go code, you will find this interface popping up a lot because it's a great general purpose interface for put this data somewhere. I love it when like smart people can communicate, like they can translate what appears to be very abstract intellectual language to like normal human speak, right? So what's an IO writer? It just means put this data somewhere. What is the implementation of an IO writer? Put this data somewhere. So we know under the covers we're ultimately using writer to send our greeting somewhere. Let's use this existing abstraction to make our code testable and more reusable. Alright, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm so ready. I'm so ready to do this. I've waited my whole life to implement an IO writer in Go. And it's finally happening. This should be package test.go. Oh, did you guys see that too? The Go language server must do that because it just automatically generated a mod file for me. Oh no, I did that, didn't I? I did that. I'm an idiot. I forgot I ran that command. Package, but that would be a pretty cool feature. I'm just saying. Not an idiot. Yeah, but sometimes I forget what I did 2 seconds ago. Go is making me go insane. I wonder how many Go jokes have been made. I'm sure a lot of them. Maybe I should do Roblox development again? I mean, it seems like there's a really, really big ecosystem around Roblox. And when I say ecosystem, I mean developer ecosystem. Like, it seems like people make careers out of that, make money, businesses out of doing that. Kind of like the Fortnite stuff. People make money out of having Fortnite studios that create Fortnite mods. Steven, maybe I should make an easy way to learn C# with tests easier. You could. Yeah, you could do that. This section just reminds me of why Go has dictionaries. Really? What? What does dictionaries have to do with dependency injection? Speaking of Roblox, do you know the Schlep controversy? I do not. Me and my wife kind of taken the stance that neither of us really understand the whole Roblox universe very well. Every time me and her have tried to play that game, I think both of us have come away very confused. And therefore, while we are fairly permissive about what video games our kids play, Roblox is one that we've chosen not to allow them to play. Just because I'm not 100% certain the purpose of it. And it seems like there's odd happenings going on in the Roblox universe often. 199. Sorry for not typing much. Doing my own learning right now. Solved an issue I was stumped on yesterday. Way to go, 199. Golf claps all around, man. It's awesome when you solve an issue. There's no better feeling than being stumped on something, stepping away from it, coming back and being like, aha! So that's awesome, dude. I'm jealous. And you don't have to worry about typing, right? Like, you can just hang out, pretend like we're both at a coffee shop and we're just kind of working next to each other. I'll try to keep the jabbering to a minimum so as not to distract you, and we'll just we'll get some work done together, you know? It's totally cool. All right, we do not have a greet function, so we need to implement one. So greet needs to take in a buffer, and then a string. So how do we do that? The buffer type from the bytes package implements the writer interface because it has the method write. So we'll use it in our test to send in as our writer, and then we can check what was written to it after we invoke greet. So basically, by passing in a buffer, it allows us to capture the output that greet produces and then verify that in a test. In C#, there's a few packages that allow you to do this for console.writeline. There's actually, if you use Spectre Console actually uses something called iANSI console as an interface, and they have a test console implementation that allow you to do the same type of thing. So this is pretty cool. I like this. This is even simpler because we're just using a built-in, type. Or I guess from a built-in package, right? It's not built-in because I had to import the namespace. The buffer type from the types package, or I already read that. Try to run the test. Okay. I will happily run the test and watch it fail. Although I think I have to delete this because it will error if that file's there. Go test. Greet is undefined. Well, let us fix that. I love Lo-Fi Generator, but sometimes it lands on a song and it just does not hit. Saba. Finally go NeoVim. Yes, we came back. So we were in VS Code for a while there because we were working on that Casper project. And there was some things that I was doing in that Casper project that NeoVim, or at least my current NeoVim configuration, doesn't really support super well because I was using some stuff from the new Microsoft testing platform. So that's why we switched over to VS Code. But for Go, there's really no reason not to hang out in NeoVim while we learn Go. Basically, someone named Schlep works with the police to catch predators on Roblox, but then Roblox bans him and says because he tricked the predators about his age and redirect them off the platform. Wow. Yeah, that seems controversial because I would think that's a good thing. After that, an entire police department got angry at Roblox. Eesh, that's a bad deal, man. Yeah. I feel like that's something they should allow, right? Try to keep the space safe, especially when you have so many young kids on there. How I see this section. All the commands listed at the top of the page are segregated. The stuff in the dictionary works only when called, helping with very complex situations. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I guess I'm not seeing the same stuff you're seeing. But if it makes sense to you, I'm happy for you. I will be needing to code into my project a complex import and export for a lot of different data for 3D graphics. Think I will test out Go for this. Yeah, give it a try, man. So far there's only been one thing about Go that I've thought that sucks. So far, um, yeah, it's good. There's been a couple things that I've encountered where I've kind of thought, yeah, that's something you could stub your toe on real easily. But for the most part, all is well. Okay, the test fails. Notice that the name is getting printed out, but it's going to standard out. Yes. So it's coming here. Let's define this in package main. We'll need to import bytes. Byte, and we'll need to import format. And then we'll go test. So we should see something be printed to the console, which we see here. But we don't want that in the console. We want that in our buffer, is what he's trying to communicate to us in the docs. So what we need to do is use the writer to send the greeting to the buffer in our test. Remember, format.fprintf is like format.printf, but instead takes a writer to send the string to whereas format.printf defaults to standard out. Yep. The signature is a little different, isn't it? Yeah, we got to pass in the writer. Buffer, like this. Oh, sorry, I missed that subscriber. Hold on, I can fix that. Thank you for subscribing. I usually try to give you guys a shout out, and I was not locked in. Whiskey Cola, was that who just subscribed? I think I can replay the activity. Whiskey Cola, thanks for subbing, man. We appreciate you. Very kind of you. Alright, so what have I done wrong here? Writer hello name. Okay, so what am I doing? Oh. This is writer. It's what he's doing is he's slowly walking us to replacing this with an interface. That's what he's basically walking us towards. So what we're gonna do, what eventually is gonna happen is we're gonna pass in the whole thing. So this should now pass because we're actually writing to that buffer that our test is checking for output. Okay, earlier the compiler told us to pass in a pointer to a bytes.buffer. This is technically correct, but not very useful. To demonstrate this, try wiring up the greet function into a Go application where we want it to print standard out, right? So this is, again, what we're doing is we're basically saying, hey, instead of greet going, writing to a pointer of a buffer, we want it to send to standard out, right? But it's going to tell us, hey, that's not going to work because standard out is not a pointer to a buffer. So what we need to do is we basically need to say, well, greet doesn't depend on a concrete type, it depends on an interface. So as long as that underlying object or underlying thing that you give me satisfies this interface, we're happy, essentially. So we'll go with this. And then we need to, yep, there we go. It should still pass because in my test, you know, in my test code, the buffer that we're passing in satisfies it has a write method. This has a write method. So satisfies io.writer. So that's why it still works. Which is the whole power of interface, is you can swap out the implementation for whatever your use case is. What other places can we write data to using io.writer? Just how general purpose is our greet function. So the internet. Oh, this is showing us that we can use an HTTP server, right, to greet. Is basically what it's saying. The response writer implements io.writer. HTTP servers will be covered in a later chapter, so don't worry too much about the details. When you write an HTTP handler, you're given a response writer and a request. When you implement your server, you write your response using the writer. The writer also implements io.writer. So now our greet function can be reused for that. So it's actually a super simple concept, right? DI is like super straightforward, but for whatever reason, people don't want to use it. And I don't know if it's because it makes your method signatures or your object constructors, it makes them kind of noisy because you might end up passing a lot of things in. I would argue that if you start feeling that you're having to pass a lot of dependencies into a method or a class, my argument would be that's probably a code smell, and you probably need to refactor that method or that class to do a little less if you're having to pass in a lot of dependencies. There's also in C#, I don't know if that same ability exists in Go, but there's also the ability to just have default, right? And so you can have parameters that are optional, right? So if you don't want to have to always explicitly pass an implementation, you can have something you default to, and then you just override that when you need to, like in testing cases. Okay, motivated by our test, we refactored the code so we could control where the data was written by injecting a dependency, which allowed us to test our code. If you can't test a function easily, it's usually because of dependencies that are hardwired into a function or global state. Fucking global state, man. This is a problem. And global state is something you can't get away from in applications because the database is global state, right? And so there are times, like I always think of like user settings in applications are a real pain because user settings are typically a piece of global state. And so you have to wrestle with that a lot of times if you're doing like integration or end-to-end tests. If you have a global database connection pool, for instance, that is used by some kind of service layer, it is likely going to be difficult to test and they will be slow to run. DI will motivate you to inject a database dependency, yes, for sure, which you can then mock out with something you can control in your test. And actually nowadays it's actually super easy to spin up a new database for each of your tests, right? You can use something like Docker, something like test containers, which I wonder if test containers has test containers Go library. Test containers is awesome. I love test containers. Yes. Yeah. So with test containers, you can make actually mocking, or like you can make it pretty easy to write integration tests against a real database and provide each one of your databases each one of your tests a real database to work with, but you don't have to worry about the global state because the database is bootstrapped for every test. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, this is good to know. I'll definitely be using that at some point. Separate our concerns. Decoupling where the data goes from how to generate it. If you ever feel like a method or function has too many responsibilities, yes. So this is where I feel like when you are using DI, it's very clear when it has too many responsibilities, because you're passing a lot of things in. DI is probably going to be the tool you need. Allow our code to be reused in different contexts. The first new context our code can be used is inside tests, but further on, if someone wants to try something new with your function, they can inject their own dependencies. What about mocking? I hear you need that for DI, and also it's evil. That's hilarious. Hold on, sorry chat, I missed some messages here. Do you like persimmon. I don't know what that is. I don't think persimmon. I don't think I've ever had this before. And if I have, I don't remember. I love IMIT abbreviation. Yeah, IMIT, the IMIT abbreviations are OP. Also, Steven, for Learn C# with tests, what elements do you need? I'll make some templates. We'd probably just mimic it after this website. So whatever this website has, we'd probably just mimic it right after this. Hey, what's up, Arvin? Sorry I missed you getting here. Good to see you, Arvin. Yeah. Okay, I'm caught up. Back to DI. Okay, mocking will be covered in detail later, and it's not evil. Good, because I mock a lot of shit. You use mocking to replace real things you inject with a pretend version that you can control and inspect in your tests. In our case, though, the standard library had something ready for us to use. Wonderful. The Go standard library is really good. Take time to study it. By having some familiarity with the io.writer interface, we are able to use bytes.buffer in our tests. The more familiar you are with the standard library, the more you'll see these general purpose interfaces, which you can then reuse in your own code to make your software reusable in a number of contexts. This is the hard part of any language, though, right? Is because how do you become more familiar with the standard library? You don't become more familiar with the standard library by going and reading about the standard library, right? You get more familiar with the standard library by using it. And the way you use it is by writing a lot of code, right? And building a lot of projects. And I feel like this is where people get stuck because they are like, okay, so what do I build, right? Like, how do I get those reps I need to be familiar with the standard library of, whatever language, pick a language, but in this case it's Go. And honestly, I don't have a good answer. Like, my answer is always like, try to find problems in your life that you can solve, that you understand. Maybe another, now with generative AI, you could ask Gemini to like help you think of projects and write requirements, and you could use Gemini or Copilot or whichever AI of choice. You could use them as like sort of your product manager person, right? But like, if you want to be good at the standard library, you're not just going to go read the standard library docs. Like, maybe some people learn that way, but I think for the vast majority of people, it's just not going to stick. Like, they need to use it. What do you think of C++ compared to C#? Hello, Enzo, good to see you. I've never written any C++, so I can't, that comparison's difficult for me without like completely just like disregarding C++, you know? So I couldn't answer your question without like being disingenuous, I think. I'm getting my psyche hammered by Spring Data. That doesn't sound like fun. How hard is ASP.NET's ORM? I see job descriptions emphasize on it. Entity framework. Yeah, entity framework is what you're going to want to be familiar with if you're working with databases in the .NET world. It's just kind of the flagship thing, and it works with all the different SQL databases, and they even have a MongoDB now provider that's baked in. A lot of people use it because Entity Framework fits really nice with the identity package that Microsoft provides that a lot of people leverage, right? Who wants to re-implement authentication. So yeah, you have to kind of get familiar with that. I don't think it's very difficult. It follows a general pattern of where they have a base class, which is like your DB context, and then you create your own app context that inherits from the DB context. And then you just start defining what are essentially tables or collections off of that context. And then from there, it's up to you what you want to do, how you want to model that. You can inject the DB context straight into your service layer, if you will, or you can implement some sort of repository pattern, which is what a lot of people do. It's not. And the thing about it is, even if it was more complicated than something you're used to, there's so much documentation around it and so many YouTube videos and tutorials around it. You could spend all day just learning about Entity Framework. There's like a never-ending onslaught of information. I think the biggest thing that people step on their feet on or stub their toes on when they're working with Entity Framework is it's not always totally clear how your C# code translates to actual SQL queries or actual Mongo queries, like depending on whatever database you're using. So sometimes there takes a little bit of you have to shoot yourself in the foot a couple times to kind of hammer home some concepts about like how does this particular link method or this chain of link methods translate to a SQL query, stuff like that. But yeah, if you're going to work in C# or .NET, you definitely need to have some familiarity with Entity Framework, I think. Arrow, why don't you do a SaaS? I would love to have a SaaS. I don't think I'd want like a large SaaS. Like I would just like to have like a micro SaaS, like a really small tool that people pay like $5 a month to use. Honestly, I haven't thought of any good ideas that I feel like people would pay me for. So if you have any good ideas you want to share that I could steal from you, let me know. Okay, first I need to make a sidebar. Yeah, go for it, Artwork Studios. Actually have some network project plans soon from small to big after I've gotten my foundation set. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's great to have projects. That's so true. I have experienced that. I feel I sometimes get stuck without knowing what to program after/during learning a language. 100%. It's the hardest thing. That's why people get stuck in tutorial hell, because they don't have ideas. So then they go watch courses and videos that teach them how to build specific things. But in the building those specific things, they're following the happy path. Everything's already been worked out. All the problems have been solved. All the tricky bits somebody's already worked through so that they can make a course out of it, right? And the tricky bits are where all the learning happens in a project, right? It's like when you're building something, you get the project set up, things are going well, then you encounter a problem that you can't figure out how to solve. That forces you to the documentation, forces you to Stack Overflow, to ChatGPT. Then you have to clarify what you don't know and fill in the gaps. Then you get over that problem, and that repeats, right, through the whole lifetime of the project. But when you're following someone else's project, where they've basically done all that already, they've worked out all that, and they have all the answers, that's where you find yourself in tutorial hell. So yeah, I feel you, man. Arvin, sounds woefully similar to Hibernate. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, could be. I think there's actually in Hibernate is a .NET project. I think that was on my .NET. I think that exists. Yeah. So if you want to use something similar to what you already know, you could use in Hibernate. But yeah, Entity Framework is kind of the feature flag ORM, or the feature flag, the flagship ORM for sure. What's up, Butterscotch? Good to see you again. Why I like books. Books are quite good, and the slight outdatedness of them force you to research what changes. That's a really good point. When you try to follow courses or books that are old, yeah, you know you're in for a ride. Especially if you're in I would imagine like when Python 3 came out, right? That broke everyone's courses and books, right? People picking up stuff that was written in Python 2, trying to figure out how to convert it. And .NET Framework, right? .NET Framework to .NET Core. I'm sure that was a big thing at the time. Though TCP IP Volume 1 will never be outdated. Yeah, it's good foundations are good for a reason. Hey, what's up, Sogo? Thanks for being a member again, Sogo. Good to see you. Remember to double tap and like the stream. 20 likes and Steven will write an assembly for a week. That would be the worst week of the stream ever. Enzo, hey, I'm curious, why is the form factor of the stream like a phone? Primarily because I primarily focus on streaming vertically for reach, for engagement, discoverability. When you stream vertically, you show up in the shorts feed, which is nice for reach and engagement. eventually, supposedly, YouTube is going to let us stream in a dual format. So hopefully, eventually, there'll be an ability to swap between looking at the stream vertically and looking at it horizontally, and I'll be able to have different scenes for vertical and horizontal. And then this whole like people who want to watch the stream or horizontally will be satisfied. My only regret is not starting sooner. Yeah, that's, I mean, we all have that regret no matter what we do. Artwork shoes. It needs to have dark mode. Make sure it has dark and light mode. For sure. Okay, back to mocking. Yeah? Nay? I hear people waking up upstairs, so I probably have probably 30 minutes of stream left because my parents are visiting, and so once everybody's awake, I don't want to ignore them, you know. I want to be with them, spend time with them. All right, you have been asked to write a program which counts down from 3. Butters, not Butterscotch, Sogo. I forgot to tell you. I did set up because you're one of the only person that's ever super chatted me before, and I added text-to-speech functionality on super chats. Well, I added text-to-speech functionality for super chats above $5 because I felt like if I didn't put a min on it, people would just take advantage. So, but now we're becoming a legitimate stream, people, like legitimate. But I think you'll get a kick out of this because I know you've super chatted me before. Good morning. I'm very proud of it too. It took a minute to get set up, but
Good morning, chat.
yeah, I love that. I was so excited. Like, I'm a big Tim the Tatman fan, and that's like one of my favorite things that happens on this stream is people do text to speech. I was really happy when I got that set up. Well, let's see. Wow, $5. That's like $5. Yeah, I was worried about people like spamming text to speech with like, you know, penny or like 99 cents. I mean, we could lower it. If you guys think it should go lower, we can definitely lower it. Not, again, I don't need anyone to super chat. I just want to show up. I just want to show off that we have text to speech capability now. We need you guys to hold on to your hard-earned cash. I started writing tests for the first time. I hate it. Very exciting. Yes, it is very exciting. Can you do the 1 tier lower? Oh yeah, for sure. You want me? I'll set it to I'll set it to just $1. That seems reasonable. I don't think I can go lower than a. Can I go lower than a? Oh, I can go lower. But I think $1 is reasonable. I don't want people to like come in and just start like ripping text to speech messages. You know? Save. Okay, we fixed that. I'll test it. Yeah, do it, man. I can give you your $1 back too if you want. I'm fine with that. I mean, you don't have to test it though, so because I can test it. I can test it for us, you know, and I can even like just do random ones to be silly. I like Brian's voice. That's the name of the voice in Stream Elements is Brian's voice. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with me. So that's too kind, man.
Testing text to speech. Hello, chat.
Dude, that's awesome. Thank you, Sogo. Do you want me to like? I bet I can send that back to you. Do you want me to send that back to you? I don't want you to have to give up money to test. It's so silly how much delight I get out of this. Nah, all good. Are you okay? If you're sure. I love. Oh, thanks, I love land. That's super kind.
Hi.
Yes, hello. Thank you. You guys don't waste your money though, okay? Just don't. Please don't give up any money that you need. It's very fun, but I will happily run your text to speech messages for you if you want me to. You did, man. You did. He did. I appreciate you guys. That's too kind. That's way too kind. All right, back to mocking. Let's see if we can get through mocking. How long is mocking? Can we get through this in 30 minutes? It looks kind of long, but I think we can. I think if we really knuckle down and we focus, we can make this happen. Artwork shoes. I think I'm gonna go with Dodger blue color scheme then, because I think of blue when C#. No, don't, because that's old. Artwork shoes. That's the old .NET logo. Do .NET purple, which is, this is the color. Let me find it for you. The .NET brand. It's like, I know it's like there we go. 512 BD4. This is the .NET color. Yeah, the old .NET logo was that blue logo, and now it's the purple one. There you go. I appreciate you working on that, man. You really don't have to do that. That learn C# with test project, you really don't have to work on that. But if you want to, if you're just having fun with it, you know, you're more than welcome to. I just don't want you to feel like you need to spend time on something just because I think it's a good idea. Someone did ask me about it though in a shorts comment. Somebody was asking like, if I want to learn C#, is there anything like learn Go with tests for C#? And I told them there wasn't, but maybe we can fix that, right? So I do think it's a really cool project that we should try to aim for doing something with maybe in 2026. I don't know if it's something we could get done before the end of the year, but in 2026 would be pretty good. Nah, I'm just bored anyway. It's a nice color. Yeah, it is a nice color. Yeah, it's good branding. It's good branding. What am I doing here? I'm mocking, so I need to start over. Make dir mocking CD, or no. We could have done all that in NeoVim. Okay, so we'll have package test.go, and then we'll have go CD. I'm also doing it because I've been forgetting how to use HTML lately. You and me both, man. I was just talking to somebody at work yesterday, and I was telling them that I don't think I've done anything on the front end in probably 3 months. It's probably been 3 months since I've wrote any front end code, and so we need I probably need to fix that, you know. It's not that you forget. It's not really that you forget it. It's just it's not like at the front of your brain, right? So like it's still there, but it's one of those things where like whatever you used most recently is what's kind of like quickest for you to recall. Or at least that's my experience with programming languages. Go mod tidy. Cool. We need this guy. Huh, he's not having me write tests first. I wonder why. Too many arguments. Oh, I skipped over it. He is having. Arrow, how can you forget HTML? I mean, you really can't forget it, you know? But sometimes, like, some of the more, like, some of the more, what I want to say, nuanced semantic tags, right? Or some of the attributes on properties, things like that, you know? And there's some newer APIs, like there's a popover API now in the browser that I am familiar with. I've used a couple times, but I haven't used it enough. Like, I'd still have to look it up on the MDM docs to be sure that I'm using it correctly. So it's not so much that you forget, I guess. It's just that you're not as quick to remember, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but... That's just how I feel. You know, I tried to use the blink tag the other day. Did you really? That's actually in my that's how this is using a blink, some sort of blink styling in the terminal to make that 27 blink. The blink tag though, isn't the blink tag like kind of a hated tag because it got overused early on? I mean, this all predates me, but popovers look nice. Yeah, the popover API is really nice. It's nice because you don't have to deal with any of the normal stuff that you would have to implement to have a dialogue, right? It's is it the popover API or is it the dialogue API? I can't remember which one I'm thinking of. It's relatively new though. Dialogue API browser. Yeah, I think it's this one is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, so like you'd stick a form in it, you know, and then you just call button. And then you can show the modal. But how many times have you implemented? I mean, I've implemented a modal a lot, right? And then you got to do the overlay, you got to do all that accessibility stuff, and this just takes care of all that right out of the box. What's your favorite backend tech stack? I prefer C#, Arrow. I've written backends in TypeScript and JavaScript, and I've done one small little fast API project in Python that was like a toy API. But yeah, C# and TypeScript are typically what I do backend in. If I can do C#, I would prefer to do C#. Yeah, so these are both things you can do. Yeah, so the dialogue element allows you to do the modal version of this. But the thing about the popover is like it's the positioning of elements, right? I think that's the one thing this gets you that you don't have to worry about. There's so many cool new browser standards, you know? The browser people just continue to make the browser just a wonderful place to do development. They're the ones doing real programming. Let's see, buffer. Oh yeah, so this is what they're trying to see. If I go test this, obviously buffer, it needs a buffer, and I've not given it a buffer. I guess I should also reciprocate Arrow 7X. What's your favorite backend tech stack? That would be the polite thing for me to do. What do you think I should learn after HTML and CSS? Definitely JavaScript. Yeah. So if you've already know HTML and you know CSS, right? That's the foundational stuff of the web, and you can get really far with that, right? You can build, especially with modern CSS, you can build some really cool websites with just static HTML and CSS, just static files. But if you want to kind of go to that next level, and maybe also you want to start exploring some of these frameworks that make building kind of componentized front ends better, or I guess more enjoyable from a developer experience, then I would learn JavaScript. That's what I would do. The other benefit of learning JavaScript is not only does it help you on the front end, but now you have a language that can run on the server, so you can build backends now for your front ends. So it's kind of, to me, that's why JavaScript's always such a good first programming language. Is it really has eaten the world, and so anything you want to build, you can basically build with JavaScript in one way or another, right? Desktop applications, you can use Electron or React Native once you learn React. So like, yeah, I think that's the way to go. What language should I learn if I just want a job, no degree? I think Enzo, that's such a loaded question. I think my advice on this has been based on what I do personally when I'm looking at like where can I get work, is I identify companies that I want to work for in two ways. One, I really admire the company, or two, they're kind of geographically like located near me, right? Or they offer remote work. So it's like companies I want to work for that I can work remote for, and then companies that are geographically located. And then what I do is I look at the job postings and I figure out what their tech stacks are. And I try to figure out if their tech stacks are things I already know about. And if their tech stacks are things I already know about, great. If they're not, then I kind of put them in this like consideration list. So as somebody like you who's actually trying to get a job, I think what I would do is, I think if you already know a language, I would try to look for jobs. I would look for jobs at companies that have tech stacks of what you already know. And if you don't have an existing tech stack, or you don't have any experience or depth in an existing tech stack, then I would just learn whatever stack is that they do, right? And then start building projects in that stack. Like a good example, I always think of this as like Shopify. If you wanted to work at Shopify, you need to know Ruby, right? You need to know Ruby on Rails. Or if you want to work at Basecamp or 37 Signals, the company behind Basecamp, you got to know Ruby on Rails. You want to work at Netflix, you got to know Java. You know what I mean? Like those are big name companies, but even small companies, small to mid-sized companies, is a similar thing, right? They don't want to hire a programmer into their tech stack and have to teach them all new stuff. So that would be my advice. Is like find the language that makes you employable for the companies you want to work for, the companies near you. That's what I would do. I want to do C++ or Go after Python. Nice. Yeah. Tear into it. Luke Mack. Keep seeing your shorts. I like your views on things. Oh, well, thanks, Luke Mack, for coming over here. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I think my takes on stuff are kind of, they're kind of middle of the road in most cases, I think it's a byproduct of the fact that, like, I'm a 32-year-old dad, so I have a family, and I know life is much bigger than technology. I didn't come up as a traditional software engineering background. I came up in a completely different path and completely different careers. So I think I have kind of a different perspective than a lot of people in the tech sphere do. Which I think that allows me to have something to add to the conversation sometimes. See you, Arrow. Thanks for hanging out, man. Oh, you're in Australia. Very cool. Yeah, I'd like to visit there someday. I hear there's lots of things there that can kill you. Alright, so if anything like buffer is unfamiliar to you, reread the previous section. I'm good. We know we want our countdown function to write data somewhere, and io.writer is the de facto way of capturing that as the main interface in Go. Yes, okay, so write the minimal. Yep, now we have our countdown. Great. We need to add the signature that takes in a buffer. There's a lot of repetitiveness sometimes. Doesn't it feel like this? There we go. We're gonna run our tests again. Zev Devnon, yo bro, how are you? It's been a minute. Tired of C#? First off, yes, it has been a minute. It's good to see you again, man. Hope you're doing well. I didn't necessarily get tired of C#, but I didn't want to do admin of code in C# again. You know, I wanted to try to switch it up this year. So I felt like, man, this is a good excuse to learn a language, and we just landed on Go. I'm not entirely sure how we landed on Go, but we're here now. We're here. I write enough code to make it pass. Easy enough. Whoops. I keep forgetting just to use my buffers instead of the sidebar. Oops. One last question. Do you think if I wanted to be programmer in, say, 2030, do you think that would be possible, or will AI take over programming? No, I think that's totally possible, man. 2030, yeah. I mean, I'm 32, and my hope is that I can work in something tech or programming related for the next 20 years. So I'm betting on yes. So I'm betting myself on yes. Now I'm fully prepared to pivot and to adjust if that's not the case, but I'm personally saying that in 2030 people will still have a need for people who know how to write code. Maybe less of the code is written by a human, but there still needs to be a human involved who knows how to program. Now, granted, I know you're in Australia, I'm here in Kansas, I'm some random guy in his basement, so I probably wouldn't tell you to plan your life based on my advice, but all I can share is like my plan, right? My plan is I would like to at least work for the next 20 years or so, and I'm planning on continuing to develop my abilities as an engineer and as a programmer and continue to pursue that path until the world tells me otherwise, right? Now, if I get fired and nobody wants to hire programmers, I'm not going to keep beating my head against the wall. I'll pivot. I'll pick up a new skill set, find a different job. But for now, that's where my head's at. So I wouldn't want to discourage you. That would be disingenuous of me to say, don't plan for becoming a programmer in 2030 when I plan to be a programmer in 2030. So I'll just be honest with you, you know. And I think that's the important thing for resiliency in your career is you definitely have a plan, but then you have to remember what Mike Tyson said in that everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, and so you have to take each step in your plan knowing that at any time somebody might force you to crumple up your plan and throw it away. That's just life. Hey, look, it's side-loaded waffles. Golang, nice. GC, but AOT, not VM, JIT, fast compilation. What annoys me, like all languages, is ecosystem support. Yeah. Which, hey, C# is getting pretty good AOT support. Slowly but surely. There's something they've been working on a lot the last 2 releases of .NET is improving the AOT support. Now let's wire up our function into a main so we have some working software to reassure ourselves we're making progress. Okay. Oh, we're refactoring to depend on an IO writer. I don't know why. I'm not 100% why he keeps making us do that. We already addressed this in the previous section. I don't know why we need to refactor. Why can't we just start from here? So if we run go test, things should pass. And then if we run go run package.go, we should see 3. Cool. Oh, I hear footsteps above me. I kind of like streaming in the basement because I can always tell when people are awake. It's almost like my 10-minute warning of my stream coming to an end. It's like, oh, people are moving around. It's time to wrap things up. This seems trivial, but this is sorry, why can't I read? Yes, this seems trivial, but this approach is what I would recommend for any project. Take a thin slice of functionality and make it work end to end, backed by tests. Dude, I'm going to save that quote. I'm going to save that one. And I should actually save that, and whenever I'm working on something, just have that like pinned at the top of my screen. Because do you ever find yourself in a project and you've been working on it for a couple hours, and all of a sudden you're like 60 files in, and you're like, wait a minute, this escalated very quickly. Quotes. I love that. Take a thin slice of functionality, make it work end to end, back, and that's the part that I like at the very end. Backed by tests. Okay, write the test first. By investing in getting the overall plumbing working right now, we can iterate on our solution safely and easily. We will no longer need to stop and rerun the program to be confident of it working as the logic is tested. So let's get this guy. We'll go to our package. We'll delete this. Go test. I think it's going to fail because we haven't actually started to iterate. The backtick syntax is another way of creating a string, but lets you include things like new lines, which is perfect for our tests. So this is the same thing like in JavaScript, string literal, right? I opened the Discord invitation. What do I do now? Oh, yeah, I just need to approve it. I can approve you right now. Approve. I did that. I put an application on my server, on my Discord server. Just again, it's kind of like the reason why the chat is subscriber only. I know it's not a ton of friction, like people can get around it, but it's like, to me, it's just enough friction that like people who are trolls, I think, are inherently kind of lazy people, and so it's just enough friction to like keep the riffraff out of the chat, and just enough friction to keep the riffraff out of the server. That's why there's an app on it. 60 files, I only use max 3. Wow. Well, when you're writing C#, everything's a single file. Everything in C# is still JIT, but I'm excited for AOT. Well, not everything. No, there is AOT support in C# today. You can use AOT. You have to enable a flag in your CS proj, but you can publish AOT. It's not all JITted anymore. It is if you don't opt into AOT, but you can opt into AOT. They have a good documentation on it too. It does require you to do some work if you're using certain APIs. Which I guess you could say, well, that's a deal breaker for me. But certain APIs rely on reflection, and so when you're using AOT, you can't rely on reflection. So you have to, the workaround is to use source generators. So you generate the code that you're going to need at compile time. But you can definitely do AOT support now in C# docs. There you go. There's the docs for you. Copy. Also, nice username, by the way, Sideloaded Waffle. Just a really creative, original username. But to be honest, I think VM is the way with how good JIT compilers are nowadays. You get the reflection and good GC in that sandbox. I don't think I've ever used anything that's built around a VM, though. Soon everything will be VM-based Langs, I think. With good JIT compilers, the performance can be easily on par with C++. That's kind of cool. JIT compilers that are on par with native compilation. That seems like a stretch, though. That seems like a stretch. But I'm down. If it gets that good, I'm down. Hello, I Love Lamp, you're back. Write enough code to make it pass. This isn't going to work though. This isn't going to pass, right? Because this is just printing. This is printing the wrong thing to the buffer every time. Break time for you? Nice. Sounds good, man. I'm ready for a refill on my coffee, but I feel like if I go upstairs, that's going to be the end of the stream, so. I have a feeling this seems like a stretch will backfire tremendously soon enough. I mean, that would be awesome if JIT compilation, if you couldn't tell the difference between something that was natively, or that was AOT compiled versus JIT compiled. That would be wonderful, right? Like, I'm all for that. It just seems like, if that was in the near term, I guess, or I guess the way I would perceive it, it's kind of like the whole ChatGPT or the whole OpenAI achieving AGI thing. If JIT compilers were gonna be able to mimic the performance you get from AOT, why would people be spending so much effort and time on doing AOT support? Why wouldn't they just make the JIT compiler? You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with OpenAI. It's like, if OpenAI was really that close to introducing AGI to the world, why would they be trying to change the definition of AGI? And why would they be constantly working on products that aren't AGI? Right? It's like the words and there's an incongruency, right, between words and actions. And for me personally, I always pay attention to people's actions, not their words. Actions typically reflect your true priorities and the truth of a situation. You know, talk is cheap, so to speak. Arvin, in CPU-bound scenarios, warmed up Java VM is as fast as GCC-01. I'm not familiar with GCC, so I don't know what GCC-01. And honestly, I'm not familiar with the Java VM. So I would take your word for it, 100%. AOT is ahead of time compilation. Yeah. Like what we were talking about, how like you pre-compile to the native, right, to whatever platform that your code's going to run on. And C#, I think out of the box, there's a lot of jitting. So you have to explicitly opt in, whereas I think Go doesn't do that, right? I'm new to Go, so I don't really know all the ins and outs. It sounds like Arvin has a little bit more background on that. I'm sure our friend Google would be helpful too, but when I have human beings in the chat that already know, I don't need perplexity. I just ask chat. Okay, so why did that work? I don't understand why that worked. Oh, it worked because out is the writer. Sorry, I thought out was what we were being passed in. Yeah, okay, so that works. Cool. So we have a countdown now. We have a countdown implementation that depends on an abstracted writer interface. Okay, there's not much to refactor other than refactoring some magic values into named constants. Wonderful. Copy. If you run the program now, you should get the desired output, but we don't have it as a dramatic countdown with 1 second pauses. Go lets you achieve this with time.sleep. Try adding it into your code. I think what we want, const, countdown start, and const final word, and then we'll import Copilot, go test. Yeah, but see, now we have a sleep delay, right? So if we run our test, it takes 3 seconds to run our test now. That's not cool. Let's see, go run package.go. I wonder if that's what he's going to have us mock out, is the time. This is something I've actually had to do before. Like when you implement like like a exponential back off strategy and you want to test it, you really don't want the exponential back off to actually wait the delay time. So I wonder how. Okay, the test will pass and the software works as intended, but we have some problems. Our test takes 3 seconds to run. Every forward-thinking post about software development emphasizes the importance of quick feedback loop. Slow tests ruin developer productivity. Imagine if the requirements get more sophisticated, warranting more tests. Are we happy with the 3 second added to the test run for every new test of Countdown? No, we are not. We have a dependency on sleeping, which we need to extract so we can then control it in our tests. If we can mock time.sleep, we can use the dependency injection to use it instead of a real .sleep, and then we can spy on the calls to make assertions on them. Yep. This is the right approach. The trick of this is, right? The trick of this is just recognizing the fact that whenever you see something like this or something like this, you realize you have a dependency, right? You have a hard-coded dependency, and so there's no way to swap this out when you call Countdown, and that's what we need to do. So he's going to have us implement a sleeper interface, it looks like, that does sleep. So let's copy this guy. Let's go back here, come up above our Countdown, paste our interface. Now we need to make a mock for it to call our tests. So type call spy sleeper struct, and then sleep, we'll just increment the number of calls. And then see, we'll use that in our tests. So this is our spy now. And then we can assert on the spy. Copy the test. This guy's a really smart programmer. I mean, I'm sure he took a lot of time to think through this, but he obviously knows his stuff, right? Like, he's been around. He's seen a couple things. Yeah. And then we need to change. Whoops. We need to change our interface. We need to change our Countdown method to depend on this new sleeper, right? So, well, we need to say sleeper is of type sleeper. And then we will do sleeper.sleep. But let's see, sleeper needs to take in, or what did he do? Okay, let's create a real sleeper which implements the interface we need. Cool. So this is almost like creating a wrapper. The default sleeper is a wrapper for the time.sleep. And then down here, we'll create a new default sleeper, like that. And then we have sleeper.sleep. So why doesn't... Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so basically what he's doing is saying we don't need to pass in a specified time because our default sleeper has the time specified. And with our spy sleeper, we just want to track calls. So now if we go back to our terminal and we write go run package.go, it should still do what it's supposed to do. 3, 2, 1, go. And then if we go back to our test, we should have, which I don't think I updated my test, did I? Oh my goodness. No, we did. Okay, so then if I go to go test should pass. Yay! But it passes quickly. Remember, it was taking 3 seconds, and now it's down to half a second. So there we go. GCC is love. What? Hey, Steven, fun fact. Go with GCC backend beats any other language in a naive or native? Naive recursion. I think you're saying naive recursion benchmark I did a while back. Well, that's exciting. Basically, it's as fast as C code that is not overtly optimized by an aggressively optimizing compiler like GCC, because real-world C is compiled with GCC optimization level 2. See, this is where I get out of my depth because I know nothing about C code or compiling C code. So I'm gonna have to take all of your words for it, Arvin. Hey, what's up, Lamp? You're back again. I love Lamp keeps coming and going. Okay, still some problems. There's still another important property we haven't tested. Countdown. Should sleep before each next print. Our latest change only asserts that it has slept 3 times, but those sleeps could occur out of sequence. That's fair. That's fair. When writing tests, if you're not confident that your tests are giving you sufficient confidence, just break it. Make sure you have committed your changes to source control first, though. Change the code to the following. If you run your tests, they should still be passing even though the implementation is wrong. Okay. So what you're saying is if I do this... he's basically saying, hey, if you're not confident about your tests, try to break it, right? And so if you try to break it, if you do something to your implementation in such a way that you're confident it should break and it doesn't break, then you know your tests are bad tests. So this should still pass. And it shouldn't still pass, right? So that's an issue. Because then if we actually run the code, that's not right. That's not right at all. So the sequence matters, right? The sequence matters is what he's hammering home. So we need some way of being able to test the sequence. So let's use spying again with the new test to check the order of operations is correct. We have 2 different dependencies, and we want to record all their operations into one list. So we'll create one spy for them both. Spy countdown operations. It's a struct, and it holds on to something called calls. That's new. I've never seen this before. Okay. Our spy countdown operation implements both io.writer and sleeper, recording every call. I think C should be capitalized. In what? Great logo, by the way. What logo? Oh, are you guys talking about something in Discord or something? Deesh, how do you not have issues with using relative line numbers in NeoVim? I actually don't know a thing coupled with that feature. I'd almost go crazy. Really? Well, my understanding, and not that I use it very effectively, but my understanding, one of the benefits of having relative line numbers is so that if you want to jump up and down from a line to another line, having relative line numbers makes it very easy to go from, like, let's say you're on line 18 and you want to go 10 lines down. That means you just type, 10J, and you're on your 10 lines down. Versus like if I was on line, line 18, and I wanted to go to line 28, then I'd have to do the math in my head, right? I'd have to say, oh, what's 28 minus 18 is 10, so I need to say 10J. I honestly need to be better about utilizing the relative numbers, but that's why I have it turned on, is so that I can get better at moving through my code using those Vim motions, which I'll readily admit I still suck at. I'm like a white belt when it comes to VimFoo. The one thing relative numbers do kind of screw you on is stack traces, though. Like when you get a stack trace and it tells you what line number it happened on, when you try to navigate to that line number, you're like, wait a minute, how do I, um, that's the one thing that I usually am like, wait, a relative number is good? But I'm guessing there's a way I can probably jump to a specific line number using Vim motions, right? I'm guessing that's a thing you can do. Vim motions. I've never thought about asking this question until right now. Vim motions jump to specific line number. Oh, wow, that sounds interesting. Yeah, it's a Vim motions thing. Yeah. So you can type like any operation you want to execute with Vim. If you type a number before that operation, Vim will do that operation that many times, right? So if you want to go down 10 lines, you would normally push J 10 presses, but what you can do instead is you can say 10J, and then it'll move 10 times down for you. To go to a specific line number, type the desired line number followed by a capital G. Oh, well, that is very helpful. I did not know that. So if I want to go to like line 20, well, let's say I'm in the middle of the file and I want to go to line 20. I can do 20G. Damn, I need to take some more time to figure out all the different things I can do with Vim. If Butterscott was in the chat right now, he would just be lighting me up that I didn't know that already. The way I've been resolving stack traces when I've been working in NeoVim is I've been going to the top of the file and then I've been scrolling down to find the line number that the stack trace references. Oh my goodness. The dumb questions are usually asked from individuals like me. We really don't know a thing. Never knew it be so interesting. Oh, you're not. No question is dumb, man. No question is dumb. Questions are seeking enlightenment, right? You're seeking to be informed and to gain knowledge. So you should always ask every question. And a lot of times, what I found in my life is most people have the same question that you do. They're just too afraid to ask it because they're afraid of being seen as dumb. But the minute you ask a question, it's like everybody in the room finally gets permission to ask their questions, and everyone's better for it. So don't ever think your questions are dumb. If something doesn't make sense, if something doesn't line up, if you don't understand why someone chose to do something, yeah, always ask. Arvin, :n line number of stack trace. Okay, so you're saying if I do :50, well, let's say :20, even better. Okay, so I can either do colon and then the line number, or if I'm already in the file, I can technically do 20 capital G. Yeah, thank you, Arvin. That's awesome, man. I can't believe I never thought to look that up. I've just been doing the dumb thing. Or the ignorant. I guess not dumb. Let's use the word ignorant. The ignorant thing. Is it already set? It's almost already 7:30. I'm not going to get through this lesson today, guys. I'm sorry. We've been making pretty good progress, I feel like. I kind of feel like, though, honestly, I feel like I need to probably spend some time doing some of this outside of stream. Because if I go out one lesson a day, where are we at? We're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 days. That takes us to like the middle of November. Yeah. I either need to get really good at ignoring chat, which I don't really want to do, or I need to spend some time in this outside of stream. Artwork studios. Okay, then. I was so ignorant that I stubbed my toe on a pole while looking forward right at it while walking. Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're gonna try to wrap up. I think we're gonna do our wrap up. How many of us are here right now? Let's see. Split pane up. Acer, thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate it. There are, according to my view counter, there are 15 of us. According to OBS, there are 24. I'm going to go with the 15. That seems more realistic. All right, so housekeeping before we sign off for the day. First things first, if you want to interact with me or chat outside of the stream, the best place to find us is Discord. Discord, I will drop a link to that. It's just discord.stephenfreeborn.com. That'll get you to our invite link. Schedule. If you want to hang out with me on stream, my schedule is basically every morning I try to be in the chair from 4:15 a.m. Central Standard Time to about 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. On the weekends, I'll usually go as late as I feel like I want to go, until like family gets up and starts moving around upstairs. What else? We're going to keep doing Advent of Code. We're going to keep prepping Learning Go for Advent of Code, but I do think I'm going to work through some of this off stream. Otherwise, there's just no hope of. There's not a lot of hope of getting a lot of practice. Like, I feel like if I don't work through this off stream, this is going to take us too long. But I kind of want to share my learnings with you guys. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I want to get to this, because this is going to be really important if we're going to be able to have fun. I don't want to be like just stumbling over myself trying to do Advent of Code the whole time. I actually want to be able to do it and enjoy it and not be frustrated because I suck so bad at Go that I can't accomplish anything. The chair sounds like electric chair. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's the plan. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, keeping me company. I'm gonna go upstairs and see my folks and hang out with my family, refill my coffee cup, and have ourselves a good Saturday. I hope you guys have a good Saturday too. If it's already Sunday for you, I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you guys either in another stream or maybe in the comments of a short or a video or something like that. So, all right, guys. Bye, y'all. Bye, chat. Bye. See you guys. Bye, Arvin. Bye, I Love Lamp. Bye, Wilo Play Gamer Pro. Thanks for streaming. Of course, man. Of course. Who else is here? Anybody else? Deej was here for a little bit. Yeah, anybody else was here, though. Appreciate you guys. You don't ever feel the need to chat. Just want to hang out and lurk. You're always welcome. Bye, y'all. Bye.